everybody, what's up? Circus here, coming at you with another Battle Phase Rewind video. This one's going to be about Battle Phase 82. It took place just a couple days ago. We were pretty excited about this one because it was a new box and a new deck, and it was Infernity. So I think that kind of surprised everybody, don't you think, Ryi?
Yeah, I mean, up until this point, a lot of memes were coming out about Infinities, about the box in general. Just saying another dead box, people wasted money on the box, etc., etc. However, a new build was leaked not too long ago, and immediately right after the leak wins a tournament. Right there, and then Weather Crafters or Weather Painters rather won.
Weathercrafters.
Yeah, I'll never get that right. They won a tournament today on Wednesday. We're recording this on Wednesday night. So this box is looking to be a lot more meta shaping than originally thought.
All right. So when we look at the overall breakdown of the tournament and see what else was in there, Shiranui, of course, the top represented deck. We'll have to see how it played out and see how well it did into the top 30 and the top 32 and the top 8. But look at Neos Invoked, Witchcrafters, Black Wings, Blue Eyes. Where are we with Infernities? Four people made it through or entered in, and same with Weather Painters, 4. So not a lot of people representing the decks.
Yeah, this is right after the deck list was leaked. The very next tournament, there were so many Infernities that entered, and then none of them topped because everyone started shifting towards them. But it is a very interesting time for the meta. This whole week will just be like people adapting to the meta, I feel like.
I'm surprised there was 2 people playing Super Heavy Samurai.
Yeah.
Shame on them.
It's the only deck they own. They wasted all their gems.
Yep. All right, moving on to the top 32 then. Black Wings, the #1 represented deck in the tournament, followed by Neos, Witchcrafter, Cyber Dragon, Heroes. Where is Infernity? 1, way down there on the list. Weather Painters with 2.
Yeah, one copy of Infernity made it in and made it all the way.
Right, so as you can see, people complain that the meta's stale, but just looking at the top 32, there is quite a variety of decks there.
Yeah, and if you look at the top 32 for, we've had 3 tournaments so far by the time we made this video. It is drastically changing like crazy as people are adapting the main deck, adapting the side deck, kind of adjust with now Infernity and Painters coming into the meta.
All right, so let's take a look at the top 8 here then. This is Erie, I think his name is. Erie?
Erie,
Yeah,
something like that.
he was playing Black Wings, as you can see, and didn't do too bad.
Yeah, so this is the level reduction Blackwing. That's what the skill is. And you use the Harmattan to get into your Onamaru combos and stuff like that. This version of Blackwing is better at playing around Witchcrafter, which is what everyone was playing around coming into this tournament. And can kind of do a little bit better playing around back row, which is what we're starting to see a little bit with Shiranui, Gokis, and all those decks. They're starting to go heavy back row. In fact, that my personal opinion, that's why Weather Painters won today. Lots of heavy back row decks. Weather Painters don't care about back row.
Right.
Where Infernity does care about back row, so maybe that's why we saw a lot of success when people are playing around Witchcrafters. You see Infernity kind of pop off.
All right. Okay, moving on here. Doppio was playing Evil Eye in the top 8. And look
so
at
Evil Eye actually won the I think it's the Dual World tournament series, I think is what they
the
call
Dual World Pro Series.
Yeah, so it actually won the $100 invitational tournament, Z Plug, I believe. So crazy interesting deck because it's probably the best graveyard controlling deck with the Eye of Selene onto the Medusa, just constantly banishing anything, quick effect banishing from the graveyard every once per turn. So you just wait for your opponent to target something, banish.
Right,
so,
right.
Very interesting deck, and honestly, high skill cap deck. I believe that if more people played this deck, you would see it top a lot more.
Well, and it's a very intimidating deck when you look at his extra. When you look at his extra deck, I mean that's just outrageous.
Right.
All right, moving on. Top 8, Ash with Invoked Roids. This is I just feel like this is the cheesy version of a good deck, but yet it seems to do well.
People just keep playing into Lava Golem. People just play into the Kiteroid, and then they get punished heavily. That's just what stall decks do. Obviously, right now back row is really good. So you know they side a bunch of back row, and then they just Lava Golem their opponents to death. And if their opponent is not really going to play into Lava Golem, you Purgatrio them. GG.
Right. Because you always wonder, does he have the golem? Does he have the golem?
They always have
They
it. They
always
always
have the
have it. It's
yeah.
crazy. They always have it.
All right, rounding out the top eight then is seventh Signer, and he was playing Witchcrafters, the only one to
Yeah.
make it in, I believe.
Yeah, Witchcrafters have had a interesting week. I think he was the only one this tournament, and the very next tournament, 14 Witchcrafters entered and 0 topped.
Okay.
So you're starting to see them kind of struggle against the back row versions. Now, this version is not the newer version that's kind of coming out. This is the version with like the offerings to the doomed and stuff on the side, the
And the
econs
dice
and stuff like that.
foon.
The dice
Don't
spoons
forget
that
the dice
for that
foon.
control, yeah. But you're starting to see people, playing things like Storm, Galaxy Cyclone. We saw -1 playing the field spell just to avoid the counter or the chain of disappearance and being able to pop it with the Storm and stuff. So Witchcrafters right now are going through a phase of adapt to this meta change or fall from your high tiering status that they've had.
Right. And I do want to correct it. We did have another Witchcrafter player, typically a Stromberg player, almost
Oh, yeah.
exclusively a Stromberg player, making it to the top 4, and that was Hexy.
So actually, I just remembered both of these players got 2-0'd by the finalist Yosenju player.
Which is just crazy, right? You would never think.
Yeah. You would think Yosenju would just immediately fall victim to this deck because they get summoned, they get negated, GG. But when you see the Yosenju's deck, I mean, it's basically just like Lava Golem control, but with Yosenju's in there. And then he just won off of that in Shadow Game. So neither of them really played around Shadow Game very well and just got boop, boop, booped in a row.
And this one does not have the dice foon, and I'm guessing that's why it made it into the top 4.
Yeah, this is my more preferred version right now.
It looks cleaner than the other deck, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. maybe change a few things on the side, but this is probably the version that you'll be seeing for the rest of the week.
All right. Okay, also in the top 4 is Hyperdive, and he was playing good old reliable Shiranui.
Good old Shiranui without the Gazuki though. Which you ask me 10 out of times, like 10 times out of 10, get the Gazuki. So you might not have it, might just be playing the Samurai Skull, still playing the Lancia in the main with the 2 Forbidden Lances and 1 Cosmic. I think Shiranui is just gonna have to start playing Forbidden Chalice very soon to deal with Witchcrafter better than they currently are. Also, this deck absolutely gets trashed by Weather Painter and absolutely gets trashed by Infernity. Both of those decks do very well into this deck, so they're going to have to adjust their back row to counteract that. Essentially, maybe play Typhoon or something to.
I was gonna say, what else can they do at this place? Play like straight flush or something?
They're gonna have to. They're probably gonna have to get rid of. Probably have to get rid of Fiendish Chain at this point. Fiendish Chain. If you Fiendish Chain Infernity, they just synchro out of it. If you Fiendish Chain the Painters, they just tag out of it. So that's probably a card that you're going to see leave very soon. Probably get rid of the Kanadias and Floodgates. Definitely keep the Karma Cuts for the Witchcrafter and the Ballistas, and then they're probably going to start main decking more anti-back row stuff. Typhoons, stuff like that, just because they just need to. They can't do anything if they don't. And then they might have to start main decking Sphere Kariba over Lancia. I don't know if Lancia main deck is a good idea anymore.
All right. Yeah, we'll see, because you go after those weather painters with a Floodgate or a Canadian. Not much happens. Yeah, not much happens.
Don't care.
All right. Making it into the second place, a finalist with Yosenju's, believe it or not, is Nidix.
Yeah, we were so hyped over Infernities, we totally disregarded Yosenju tearing it up in the meta. But I mean, he did very, very well against the few games that we saw him play against Witchcrafters. He would essentially just play slow with his Necro Valley and his traps, and he would wait until he gets Lava Golemed, and then he would just sit on Lava Golem and Shadow Game until his opponents essentially just burned to death. 4-0, not a single loss to Witchcrafters, pretty insane. Because that's probably their worst matchup right now.
Oh yeah, they play that grass is greener or something, and just 4 turns later they're dead.
So I do think if the Witchcrafters probably played slower, they wouldn't have got, at least they take a game, but they didn't, and there you go, Yosenju's in the finals.
Well, when you think about Witchcrafters, a lot of times they're only attacking with 1 monster, but maybe they're attacking twice and it's at 4,000 attack. Yosenju's can handle that.
Yeah. Well, it's really the Yosenjo sword's sting is
Right.
just so devastating every time they get hit with it. It's just they can't do anything to that. And then of course Kyroid is amazing for when they use collaboration. And you say, "Oh, nice collaboration, Kyroid."
Right.
And then of course, yeah, Necro Valley. This is a deck that's unaffected by Necro Valley, so you can freely play it however
Right.
many copies, and you're gonna decimate your opponent.
Yeah. There's plenty of stall in there with the OEMs and
Oh
everything.
yeah.
So
Oh yeah. This is one of those decks where its skill cap, or I guess skill floor is met with how it also depends on how good your opponent is, because if your opponent is just wildly milling or wildly playing into Lava Golem, you don't have to outplay your opponent. They've outplayed themselves.
right.
So
You just have to stall. You just have to stay
yeah, you just
alive.
have to stall. Yeah, not many decks can do that, but this one in the Roy deck can. So
Yep.
that's
All
what you
right.
see.
And the champion of the night, the one that everybody wants to see. This is why we're here.
Yeah.
Shiny Sophion with Infernities. Look at all those monsters.
Like none of them. Very interesting. I want to point out before we talk about the deck itself. 3 Canadia. I think it was someone in Twitch chat. I don't know if it was a Twitch chat or a YouTube comment or where it was, but I remember they were like, "I don't remember the last time I used Canadia," when we were telling them
To
Canadia is
get
like the first
Canadia,
one
yeah.
you should go for. Um, and here it is. It's back in the meta. It's
Right.
when we're in a meta where monsters don't have anti-targeting equipped to them. Canadia is better than Floodgate, even though it's not permanent. Sometimes you only need a single turn of it being flipped face down, and just having more control of when you can flip a monster face down.
Right.
That's what makes Canadia better than Floodgate in certain situations. Obviously when there's Casitas everywhere, you don't want to be playing Canadia because it's not going to be able to do anything.
Right.
So very interesting because this is, and also, I mean, Shiny 2 Fiendish Chain, very clearly, like, they meant to play Canadia. That's not just, oh, this is all I had.
Right. Right.
So there you go. And then I also just think that Canadia is going to be coming back with XCs. Like, you can even use this Canadia to synchro right now if you want, but with XCs, if we get good ranks for, I think Canadia is level 2 or 3 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
If we get good ranks of those, Canadia is going to be in here to stay for a while.
Yeah, that's the part. There's, it obviously can come back from the grave, and then the one effect people always forget about is it can't be targeted by monster effects. So that's even better too.
Yeah, very, very, very true. We even started seeing it in E-Saber builds. The E-Sabers buff it with the Palace of the Elemental Lords. And then it's just a thick, thick Kanadi on the board that can't be targeted by monster effects. And you're just like, holy shit, what do I do?
And actually, I want to correct myself. It can't. It's unaffected.
Yeah, unaffected. You can target it.
You can target it, but it's unaffected. Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a nice little effect it has.
But yeah, I mean, this is the build I kind of expect that all Infernity builds will derive from. I don't know if it's necessarily the best build, but every build will start using this as a template versus the ones we were seeing when it first came out. Obviously, this deck still can use Hey True Nade. The way I would describe this deck is Black Wings before they got their Limit 2 nerf, so they couldn't use TTH or True Nade anymore. Of course, having the 1 of Heat Wave, you only have 1 in the game. It's ridiculous. You go turn 1, you play it. Unless your opponent's running normal monsters, they can't summon anything, and then you just win at that point.
Right.
And I don't know, like this deck is kind of insane. It if it has either Launcher or Mirage after they do all their True Nade, activate their skill and everything like that, if those are the only 2 cards in the hand, or even just Archfiend, it's just a 1-card 3 synchro board every single time. Or they'll have the Archfiend on the field. And here's the crazy part. Imagine Blackwings going into their full synchro combo. They have their Raikiri, the Simo, the Hawkjoe on the field. But on top of all that, they were able to search Blackbird Close. That is currently what Infernities are doing. They're making a board, and then they're searching Infernity Barrier for the follow-up. So if you have Sphere Kariba or Kiteroid and you are able to live, you now have to play through an Omni Negate next turn on top of all that.
Right.
So that's kind of where all the brokenness of the deck. And of course, this is the second deck that we've seen that's really featured Coral Dragon's Synchro Tuner kind of status. Really ridiculous because not only do you get a free pop because it just draws a card, you can draw into more of your combo pieces if you didn't have them to begin with, and you can pull off some crazy, crazy synchro combos with Coral Dragon and literally anything else. I mean, the Aqua Dolphin, half the attack, Stardust Charge Warrior, draw a card, Bryonic, send a bunch of cards back, Coral Dragon, pop a card, synchro into your Animaru. It's a crazy deck for sure, and I've seen differentiations of the build too. So I don't think a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's linear. It does the one synchro play and then you're good." It's yes, but that's because it's the best synchro path that we have right now to do that. There are other things the deck can do. It's just why would you when this is the
Why do
best
you
thing?
need to? Yeah.
Yeah, like this deck just OTKs through Sphere 99% of the time. It is insane. What it's doing right now. As we kind of went into the second week or the second day of it, though, people started playing a little bit smarter, started putting stuff in defense mode so they don't get OTK'd and stuff like that. And even past that, searchable Infinity Barrier is just insane. So we're just gonna have to see kind of where the meta settles right now, because people saw this and were like, "Nah, fuck that," and just started playing all the back row they could find. Um, and then in response, weather painters they come out and
Right.
it's like, "Oh hey, back row, nice," and other decks, like Casitas and stuff like that. It's like, "Oh hey, back row," like. So we're just gonna have to see where the meta settles because now that both decks have kind of proven to be good, people just don't know what to expect anymore.
Now, this you said this deck might not be the one that everybody's gonna be playing going forward. This version of it, but I can guarantee it was the version everybody was playing the next day.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody
Yep.
was playing this version. On Tuesday, only one person topped. It was actually Cairo. He topped with Infinities. He got knocked out by Ritual Beast. That's hilarious, by the way.
His own deck. Yeah.
His own deck.
Probably burned to
And then
death.
and then today, I think 3 topped. So
Yeah, okay.
pretty good. Pretty good tuning there. We'll see where it ends. I think it's gonna be kind of it's just one of those situations where people weren't thinking about the deck properly on launch, and now that they are, it's kind of like, oh god, the endless possibilities. How
Right.
far is this deck gonna go? It's basically Black Wings 2.0. I think it's here in the meta, and I think it's gonna stick in the meta until they start banning cards from its core set.
All right, so we've talked about the deck. Why don't we check it out in action and watch a few replays of it?
For sure, for sure. All right, so this is one of the examples that we have. This is where you kind of see them fight through a little bit. Turn 1 Heat Wave is amazing in this deck because not many decks have normal monsters. It's literally just Dark Magician, and they can't even summon like in one turn unless they have like Curtain or something. So you play that. Your opponent's guaranteed not to do anything. Then you just go into True Nade, right? You go into True Nade and you get everything that you want. But you can kind of see his opponent goes into a full board, Hollowed Life Barrier. This card is nuts. It stops you from taking damage, stops your monsters from taking damage, basically makes you invincible for a whole turn if they're unable to negate the effect. And as she gets Hollow Life Barrier, that just buys her an additional turn to keep building her resources. And then immediately, when she feels safe, because I believe she does 2 Hollow Life Barriers immediately when she feels safe, just top decks one single card, the Mirage, and that's it. She has her full board into straight up a OTK. Shows you the power of this deck to go from one single card with no help whatsoever into 3 monsters on the board, plus negation into lethal. That is insane.
All right, and then the second clip we're going to watch is in the finals against Yosenju's, and this is game 1.
Yeah, so this is a match where she didn't really open anything great going against Yosenju, and the Yosenju player just opens up 3 summonable monsters and swings for direct damage. She goes for the Canadia, which is what she was hoping like would help her, but unfortunately, Forbidden Lance makes it so she doesn't get flipped down, and at that point, just triple swing into her, leaving her at 100 life points. And it is insane because that's all they need. They just need one turn where they can activate their skill, flips up the Hey True Nade, and then summons a whole mess of monsters that honestly the Yosenju player can't even do anything about. Like they can search Onimar or the Oyam, but that does nothing because Onimaru will just boost his attack and just bounce right through it. and then that's it. Like that's it. If there's no Kyroid, it's game. So it's pretty crazy. Had this person had Kyroid, he would have been fine, but no Kyroid basically just meant lethal through an OEM, and you don't really see that happen very often with Yosenjus.
All right, so you can see the deck definitely has some comeback power to it, and it ended up being a really quick finals between Infernities and Yosenjus. So it definitely showed the strength and the power of the deck. We'll have to see what the future for it holds, because like you said, maybe this isn't the version everybody's going to be playing. It might be just a template, but within the first week of the box coming out, that's not too bad getting a tournament victory.
It really isn't. A lot of decks, when they first come out, they get tournament tops, but they kind of struggle to actually get a win. Witchcrafters, it took them a hot minute. I think it took like 2 weeks before they actually got like a first place finish in like a tournament that doesn't only have like 30 participants or whatever. So we'll have to see. Like we obviously since that victory, we've seen just a huge increase in back row, which has been very effective at keeping them down. So we'll have to see where where everything ends up going, because that's the other thing too you have to keep in mind, and this is why when people are like, oh, I should invest in Infernities now, it's like, well, wait a little bit longer, because when Konami sees decks that are abusing Hatronade or TTH, they start salivating. They're like, emergency ban list, here it comes. You
Right.
know what I mean? Every single time that's happened in the past, like, no, that can't happen. So ban some random card that you play at one copy, so you can only play one True Nade or something.
Well,
So
and a lot of people forget Shiny probably took a lot of people by surprise in this
yeah,
tournament.
yeah,
A lot of people thought the deck was doo-doo. They're probably going into it, oh, what can Infernities do? I'm just going to do my normal game. I'm not going to try to play around them at all. And then she just made them
right.
pay.
We saw, I think it might have been her top 16 or top 8. When she won, her opponent for like 3 turns straight could have set his 3 monsters into defense mode, and essentially decked her out, but he didn't. He just left his stuff in
No
attack mode.
respect. No respect.
He's like, I have Onimaru on the field. It's got like 6,000 attack. There's no way you OTK through that. Bam, OTK'd. So
All right, so we'll have to see how the meta shapes up over the next week, and I'm sure by the time we're here next week, we'll have a totally different story for you. But I hope you liked what we brought you today, and if you do, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow us on Twitch, Twitter, and Discord. Make sure to get in the Discord, because that's where we host all of our tournaments, and you'll get announcements for when they're happening. So make sure to join that, and don't forget to use the Gamersupps link in the description below. You can get 10% off. That'll help us support the tournament. So, any last words, Ryi?
no, that's it. I'm excited to see these next few weeks of tournaments, because the meta is changing rapidly, which is really nice, because the meta's pretty much been stale for the past little while.
All right, we'll see how it goes. We'll see you next week. I'm
Bye,
Circus.
YouTube.
That's right. See ya.